Hi, this is George's Daily Debate. Today we have two special guests, my social studies, Mr. Reno. Mr. Reno, how are you?
How are you, George? Thanks for having me on the show today.
You're welcome. And my science teacher, Mr. Grin. How are you, Mr. Grin?
Excellent. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're welcome. Alright, so let's talk about the presidential elections. Are you guys surprised with the results of the recent primaries?
I was a little surprised with the Democratic result in the state of Michigan. I was surprised
Me
that
too.
Bernie Sanders won. It was close, but he did beat out Hillary Clinton, and it's a lot closer than I thought it was going to be between the two of them. And Bernie Sanders says often in his debates and town halls that everybody wrote him off months ago and said he had no chance. And here he is in March, and they're still tightly contested.
I agree. Mr. Grin, what do you think?
I am a little bit surprised with the outcome in Mississippi. I think Ted Cruz's entire strategy, he had like a southern strategy, and that seems to be falling apart.
Yeah, I was surprised with Mississippi and Michigan the most with the recent primaries. As you know, Trump won Michigan, Mississippi, and Hawaii, and Ted Cruz won Idaho. It seems that this year, in 2016, much more people are getting into politics, and many more people, especially students, are watching the debates and paying attention to the news.
I agree, George. And one thing that's really awesome in a classroom this year is that it's so easy to have a conversation about the political election, the presidential election, because people care about it more than they did 4 years ago. I can tell you as a teacher 4 years ago, it was tough to have a conversation. A lot of the students didn't really know who Mitt Romney was or what he stood for. But this year, love him or hate him, one thing that Donald Trump has brought to the table is that people are watching. They're curious as to what he might say or what's going to happen next. And it's very easy in the classroom to have a conversation about the presidential debates or what's going on because my students are interested to watch it. They are watching it. They want to talk about it. And I think they even said in their debates last week that more people have voted in this year's primaries as compared to 4 years ago.
Yeah, higher turnout.
Oh, way higher turnout. And that's incredible. That's great. And I'm hoping in November more people vote than I've ever voted before.
I kind of feel like more people are voting, especially because, with the divisiveness in the campaign, I mean, some of the rhetoric that's being said, it's kind of inflaming a lot of,
People are angry.
a lot of people are angry. Yes. Thank you, George.
You're welcome. What do you think that now Marco Rubio has to win Florida? Would you agree with that? Do you think he would have to drop out if he doesn't win Florida?
I would definitely agree. If he doesn't win his own state, I would think that he had a great showing and put himself in place to possibly run again in 4 years. But I would say if he doesn't win the state, he probably would drop out.
What about Kasich?
And I think the same thing with Ohio. If Kasich doesn't win, I think the same thing for any political candidate. If they don't win their own state for whatever reason, the writing's probably on the wall that they should drop out of the race. And again, he had a great showing too, and I think he'd be a great vice presidential candidate as well.
I would agree with that, but even if he does win Ohio, he's still pretty far behind with the delegates. So, Mr. Ryan, what do you think about that?
I think Rubio, obviously, if you lose your home state, you should drop out. That's, people, honestly, and Kasich, same thing. If you lose Ohio, right, that's where you're from, right, Ms. Payne? You should drop out and kind of narrow the race to give people a better choice.
Yeah, two important states that are coming up are Florida and Ohio. Those are pretty important states. I think if the candidates want to get the nomination